Does nobody warn Gen X or any other generation about this problem that we are facing in our lives and our health, and that it's the root cause of almost all the chronic diseases that we face in the world? Hey guys, I'm Coach Ken, also known as the Wellness Preacher, and we're going to be dealing with how to reverse insulin resistance 101 right at the base. We're going to talk about it today. I've got Dr. Kenny on here who's going to explain really well in a very concise way what this is. I'm going to be going live again after this to go more in detail about what those steps are going to be. So this is going to be part of our big focus here is to dealing with this. Now we're still in the middle of our blood sugar challenge, so everything here is going to be helpful. But I want you to start by thinking, what are some of the chronic diseases that you feel like you're facing? Are you experiencing migraines? Are you getting joint pain? Did your doctor just kind of say, hey, you're getting older? Think about those type of things, very simple things. We're going to talk about those and what we can do to fix them right here. So let's jump in and let's hear from Dr. Kenny.
And I thought, my God, if it's changed my life, why would I not do the same for others? And a year and a half ago, I nearly died from the very thing that I'm going to be sharing with you. I spent almost 2 months of my life in the hospital, and it was a disaster. I mean, I had every sign of insulin resistance. I had belly fat that would not go away. It didn't matter how much I ran on a treadmill. It didn't matter how much I restricted my calories. I was developing skin tags. I had inflammation throughout my body. My right shoulder, I couldn't sleep on it. I pitched in high school and college. I'd always been very active. Megan, kind of like you and I had spoke about before. I mean, just nothing was working. My cholesterol was going up. I had sleep apnea. God bless my wife. I mean, she even recorded it to let me hear myself, right? That was terrible. I had had high blood sugar and cravings, and I was Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde all the time. And I didn't understand why. And I want to give everyone an example that I pray will make sense to you. But earlier this past year, we were able to celebrate our 20th anniversary. And we went out to eat, and we got an old fashioned to drink. And we don't drink any longer, but we did this night. Now, I bring this to your attention because if you've ever had alcohol, if you haven't, this won't make much sense. But if you have, it doesn't take much if you don't drink to feel the effects of it. Now, if we drank every day, we would need more of that thing to create the same effect. And many of us on here, I'm sure, have been told to eat every few hours to keep your metabolism elevated, right? And the problem with that is every time you eat food, your blood sugar will go up and, well, insulin will go up. Now, if you're a diabetic, you're going to inject insulin to bring it back down. And the more frequently you do this, the more resistant that our cells become. Now, all of those warning signs on the right start popping up 15 years before we lose control of our blood sugar and they diagnose you with diabetes. Now, once the diabetic diagnosis occurs, you have no longer blood sugar control and your cardiovascular disease risk goes up 80%. Alzheimer's and dementia goes up 81%. They now call it diabetes type 3. It starts to show its face early on. You start to get brain fog and forget why you went in the room. Where are your car keys? What am I doing with my kids? These are all warning signs of this. You start to develop this sugar because your insulin can't keep it under control, and your joints, that's osteoarthritis, they tell you that it's old age. Your body's starting to pee more frequently to get rid of the sugar. It's stuffing it into your female parts. Ladies, you're getting polycystic ovarian syndrome like my wife had for 20 years. Neuropathy. I mean, I used to treat nearly 1,000 patients a week. If I told you how many cases of neuropathy, neuralgia, and sciatica that I took care of and migraine headaches, and I had no clue that it was insulin resistance. The reason I'm bringing this to your attention is because we have a huge problem. They're now finding non-alcoholic fatty liver disease in our 3-year-old children. Diabetes is out of control, and 1/3 of all teenagers in America have prediabetes. That's insulin resistance, bon voyage, coming into diabetes and obesity. So we have a huge problem. And when I saw that, I love to find solutions. And I went on a quest. And someone cared enough about me to share this with me. And when I saw this, it really honestly blew my mind. Our company that we've partnered with, and I feel so blessed to get to work with, they realized in the 80s that, well, the drug companies created a drug called a statin to bring down cholesterol. And they realized that what was causing this issue was ripping the fiber and taking it out of the food. Well, they thought, well, let's just put the fiber back in the food. And this is what they did. This is how it started. Now, there's over 24 clinical studies at places like BYU, UCLA, UNLV, Stanford, Cornell, just to name a few. The Cleveland Clinic, the number one heart institute on the planet, why would they study fiber? We're going to talk about that. Now, these products are listed in the very book that doctors kind of uses their Bible, if you will. You can look up any medication, you can look up the side effects, and you can look up these nutraceuticals that I'm going to share with you that someone shared with me. Now, nutraceuticals means they're standardized. Physicians love this because they know batch per batch, box per box, what the person's getting. Though what they don't like with a supplement is, well, I mean, they don't know what's going to happen in each box or each batch. These are all third party tested for herbicides and pesticides, mold, mildew, bacteria, and carcinogens, and they know dose per dose what they're getting. Now, these, because they're nutraceuticals and they're founded and found in, the PDR, you can actually use your HSA and FSA to purchase these. These also are found now in 64 countries around the world. They're patented, they can't be copied, and they work so effectively. We have so much research on them that we guarantee them to anybody that uses them for 90 days. Now, here is where I was really excited. Not only are they in the PDR, not only do we guarantee them, but it's $5 and about 10 cents a day. It's less than a cup of coffee. And here's how the protocol works. It's a three-step process. The standard American wakes up and they eat break fast thanks to Kellogg's. The word break fast means breaking your fast. And the last thing you want to do is consume refined carbohydrates where the fiber's stripped. Ask any diabetic, what are they told to drink when their blood sugar is too low? You can put that in the chat. And that's because there's no fiber in there. And the fiber keeps the blood sugar low. And if your blood sugar stays low, insulin stays low that you either make or you take. Now, what we teach and what we do with people is we give them this incredibly delicious willpower in a packet chlorogenic acid tea. This acts like a natural metformin and GLP-1, the shots that everybody's doing. This is willpower. It crushes food noise and keeps your blood sugar nice, low, and stable. And when insulin is low, the fat's got to go. So for breakfast, you're burning your love handles for fuel instead of eating. When you get to lunch, if you're hungry, you eat your meal. This will spike your blood sugar and break fast. Now you're going to grab your second packet of willpower and you're going to mix that up in the bottle. It tells you exactly where to do this. You can make it hot, you can make it cold, and you sip on this between lunch and dinner. If you're anything like me, I used to have if there was food laying out, I had to eat it. I didn't understand that if it was just one pretzel, that was keeping my insulin levels elevated, and insulin is your insulating hormone. So I sip this tea till dinner. Meal. I'm going to use the fiber matrix, the most studied fiber. This is a statin. It brings down your triglycerides, but on the A1C triple better than metformin that has a black box warning. Increases your good HDL, and it suppresses your blood sugar spikes by 43%. Important. If your blood sugar is lower by nearly half, would you have to inject more insulin or less? And that's the protocol. It's cost neutral and it pays for itself. And if you're saving money on this protocol, feel free to put dollar signs in the chat. Now, with this is supposed to be our competition. Well, look up statins and all the warning signs and side effects in the physician's desk reference, anything from coronary artery calcification to blindness to diabetes, increasing risk of diabetes in females in menopause by 50%, to neuropathy, neuralgia, cirrhosis of the liver, the list goes on and on. Also, low libido, low estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone. I don't know many people that want to sign up for that, and they knew a different way. Also, metformin, that has a box warning. They used to call them black box. That means you can die from it. And Ozempic also has a black box warning. Well, this right here acts like Ozempic, and it acts like metformin, and this acts like a statin. And bariatric surgery, if people get so frustrated and don't know what to do and know they need to lose weight, when they have the surgery done, they're told to eat 5 to 6 meals a day. The problem is, even if you're eating smaller meals, every time you eat, your blood sugar goes up. Your insulin goes up. When insulin goes up, it tells your body to store fat for fuel. And when insulin's high, you cannot burn fat for fuel. And so this is why the weight comes back. So that's supposed to be our competition. Now, what I want to do is I want to highlight someone currently, friend Keith. And Keith is, I've met through this, and Keith has used this protocol, a type 2 diabetic for 25 years. I just want to show you some validity from someone's point of view and perspective on what's happened. And then we'll go into, and if you've been on this protocol and it's transformed you and your family's health, do me a favor and just put in the chat how it's transformed your health. Keith, thank you, brother.
You're welcome. Uh, Thanks for having me. So yeah, I was type 2 diabetic for 25 years, and I was on, from day one, varying levels of medication immediately. I'd worked myself up to 15 meds a day, 6 injections a day. I had injections in both of my eyes for diabetic complications, and it kind of came to a head in 2018 when I got diagnosed with A, which is a autoimmune disorder that destroys your nervous system. And it left me with wounds that wouldn't heal, a whole different level of issues that crept in. My cholesterol was through the roof, my neuropathy, I could barely walk. And then in January of last year, I had a foot ulcer that went septic, and it literally took my life for just under a minute. Um, on my daughter's gender reveal party, no less. And when I came back, I made a point to get healthy. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what it looked like. And I stumbled across this product on TikTok, and I watched for about a good month, little over a month before I chose to buy the product. So my grandson's born January or June 3rd. I started the protocol on June 12th. And literally from day one, energy was through the roof. I hadn't had energy like that in probably 2 decades. Um, Day number two, I was off 108 units of insulin entirely, all of it. By the end of 2 months, I was down about 60 pounds, 8 inches on my waist. I was off 14 of the 15 medication I was on. I felt amazing. Um, when 90 days came around, I was off all 15 medication, no more injections in my eyes. I was down 75 pounds and 10 inches on my waist. My foot ulcer was gone. The one that took my life was completely gone. You could almost hardly tell it was ever there. And it's only gone up from there. I set up all my doctor's visits around that 90-day time frame. My eye doctor hadn't seen my eyes look this good in over 4 years. Um, no longer need to wear glasses. Um, my foot doctor utterly amazed. My cardiologist couldn't believe the lab work. Everything was spot on. And my cardiologist, I came from a 200 over 100 blood pressure. And I've now been on it just over 6 months, coming up on 7, I think. And literally, I'm down over 90 pounds, 14 inches on my waist. Um, all my blood work is still spot on. I can't think of something, but
You've had so many things happen, you don't even know what's happened, right?
I mean, it is truly, had I not lived it, some of it, but it's all 100% accurate. There's no
You know, now,
BS with it.
Keith, you've been a diabetic diagnosis for how many years?
25.
I want everybody to think about this for a moment. Do they call it fixed care or managed care?
Oh, it's managed.
We're going to show you how to fix the root. That's what we do.
Right there it is, right there. That's what this is about, is the root cause and addressing what's going on, guys. I'm gonna drop this off right here, and uh, make sure we've got that taken care of. Everything's gonna adjust, guys. I'm Ken. I'm up in Anchorage, Alaska. Hope you guys are having an awesome day as we get started. It is pretty amazing, Ludwig. It is an amazing story about what has happened there. Is just out of curiosity, so is insulin resistance something that has affected you? Maybe some of the signs you came in here. You've been here for a little bit. Um, I want to delve into a little bit more about the whole issue of, as a coach and helping people, it's understanding what the root is. Now, the way I like to think about this in part is we get worried about stuff, right? And sometimes we find ourselves caught somewhere in between our careers, our family, our health, and what decisions are we going to make about our lives. And we begin to think about too, what about those healthcare costs? That last thing that Dr. Kenny brought up was, is this healthcare? Is it managed care? Is it just managing us in this scenario? And what are some of those things? I want to sit there and say, it sounds like for most of us, we're at a place that we're trying to look for a solution. This issue of insulin resistance is not something that's going away. In fact, when we look at that, I don't know, it's kind of small down there. When we look at that, we see a whole mess of things that many of us are dealing with. And let's put this up real quick. I got some slides that I want to do, but I like to keep this close by. Are you dealing with any of these things in your life? Or if it's not you, then who? We're talking about things that affect so many of us. Strokes, is that something that's happened to anybody or somebody you know? How about high blood pressure? High blood pressure is still, heart disease is still the number one in the United States. It's still, we just heard from Dr. Eric Aiken this week on yesterday's call. Alzheimer's, all right? How many of y'all are worried about mental health and the issues? I'm from the Netherlands, and also here, it's not about, right, it's not. And so many times, and that's one of the things, if you'll know, my tag is the wellness preacher. I like to focus on the health, body, mind, and soul. And a big part of what I'm doing right now, as somebody that's walked the road of diabetes and reversing it and helping people with that, it is our health overall, right? So thinking about some of those things, hypertension, is that something that is a concern for you? What is that? Maybe think about what is kind of that number one cause, and maybe it'd be helpful. I'm going to put up another screen up here. I'm going to share a little bit about a presentation. This is 101, so I want you to ask any questions that you have as far as it relates to insulin resistance and how it is tied to metabolic health. And that's what the slide is going to show when it comes up on the screen is metabolic health. And where in the Netherlands are you, by the way? I don't always get people. I always love to hear where people are coming in from. I see we've got a few folks in the room. So let me know where y'all are coming in from, and just put it in the chat right down there. Let's see. I'm going to change this. Let's see if I can adjust my screen a little bit here. I don't like the way that it's showing up. Let me do this one right here. It's a little bit weird. Lost a few people on that. That's all right. So when we start to look at what's going on, this whole issue of insulin resistance is a huge part of what we're dealing with that is not being addressed, that our medical system isn't talking about. You're over in Amsterdam. My wife was in Amsterdam just a couple of years ago. I can't say that I have been to that beautiful part, but I got to see the pictures. So that's pretty awesome. I'm up in Anchorage, Alaska. So just a FYI there. So as you're coming in and looking at these issues of insulin resistance are things that come about along the way. And somebody was just asking in another thread that I'm a part of regarding diabetes, that what happened in our food system? Why is it that 40, 50 years ago we could eat carbs all the time, and suddenly everybody now it's a problem? We're carbs, no more carbs, don't do any more carbs. We got to stop all the carbs, right? Well, here's the thing. Back in 1963 was the first year in the US that a tobacco company would buy a food company. And what we would do, oh, she loved it. She absolutely loved it, Ludwig. She had a great time. She was like, I wish you were here. And I wish I was. I hate it when we don't get to travel together. So, yeah, and all the pictures were beautiful. She did a cruise, I believe, during the time that she was there. So it's definitely on my list in the future to try to get over there and see that. So what happened was we wound up getting into this whole scenario where, guess what? Our food system was screwed up, which led to this, all those carbohydrates. On top of that was we got into this disordered eating, is what I like to call it, is we got into a dilemma when it came to how we ate. And the US has done an incredible job of exporting so much, right, around the world. So the issue of insulin resistance is something that we have slowly pushed around to everybody else. We've been in this place that we have sent this to everybody else in the world. So if you relate to that, to type 1, I mean, we're talking about everything in a bag, in a box, in a bottle with a barcode. Now, I know in other countries around the world, the crazy part about it is y'all have gone through and said, hey, we need to stop eating this stuff from the US, right? That's awesome. And that's part of what I'm going to talk about. Everything. You got a chance to watch. You lost 4 kilos in only 5 days. That's awesome. And what we're going to see, we're going to talk about how that eating is. And I'm curious, kind of maybe a little bit about what you learned, because I want to help do that. Not only is the protocol that Dr. Kenny introduced, that's a big part of what we do. And I'll explain that if you've got questions about it. It really makes everything about insulin resistance easier, and it allows you to basically, I like to think about it as a safety net and an umbrella all in one. So it just kind of helps to insulate our lives. But learning to eat correctly is a huge part of it. And a huge part of it for me was I love my fried chicken, my fried catfish, and I love my mama's banana pudding. My wife, the beautiful Dr. G, who does this channel and what we do, Healthy Together and Feeling Great Together, she is from New Orleans, so she knows how to cook the lights out of anything, and she cooks everything. We just got bone broth with chicken feet, and I was like, whatever, okay. But we've been making king cakes, and we've been enjoying that. But at the same time, we are diabetics, except we reversed it. So when we were diagnosed with diabetes, what happened was my wife got on the phone. She was diagnosed the month after I was. And I'm not sure. I think I may have pictures of us in here in the slideshow. I'm going to skip through a couple of slides, and I probably ought to keep those up at the front of this so we can take a look at it. Kind of hate slideshows at points. It's kind of nicer to be able to just put pictures up. And so that's us right there. So we were diagnosed with, I was diagnosed with type 2. She was diagnosed pre-diabetic. And so she got on the phone, called a nurse who was a diabetes educator, one of her colleagues, and they said, look, there is a natural protocol. You're going to have to make some changes, but this protocol is a game changer. That's what Dr. Kenny was talking about. And that's a big part of how we coach. She started on the protocol. We learned how, like you said, to eat differently. That's a great word. We have to eat differently. So I was a little slow, but I listened to my wife and it saved my life. 4 months later, I started doing the protocol. Within the first week, my migraine stopped. I stopped snoring. It took me about a month before I started to lose weight. I started to lose inches. My pants fit better. I felt better. And everything changed when it came to that. But it took about 4 months for me to go from a 6.9 down to a 5.4 on my A1C. And I've been able to keep it there the whole time. That's where I'm at right now. I was able to lose over 50 pounds, and I'm not sure how that amounts with kilos. But there's two principles to this that go hand in hand with reversing insulin resistance. It's addressing the first, that it is a dietary disease. This is something that has to do with what we are putting in our mouths, right? I'm going to go back to these other slides that I have up here, and I may adjust my slideshow accordingly. All right. So we were talking about right here, we have to adjust. We cannot be eating all the time. And this slide really demonstrates when we are in our modern diet dilemma, we keep eating all day long. And every time we consume, particularly those simple carbohydrates, we spike our blood sugar. When blood sugar increases, insulin increases. Insulin is an anabolic hormone. It's not because your pancreas is broken. Our cells are too full. That is the biggest thing. So our cells are full of insulin. Insulin as an anabolic hormone is a key. It's a good way to look at it. It's going to handle all the glucose. So your glucose, insulin's going to pick that up. And normally when the cell's full, it's going to enter right in and the cell's full. That you can unlock the cell because the cells have insulin receptors. When you are insulin sensitive, the cell is already full of sugar and now the key cannot enter into the cell. So all of the sugar and all of the key, the insulin, is then dumped into our bloodstream. It'll try to store into fat cells, into our liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver. In our brain, we're talking about Alzheimer's type 3. We have kids as young as 6 years old now diagnosed with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. We have teenagers, 1 in 3 teenagers is now diagnosed as pre-diabetic. When I was 9 in 1980, I was 9 years old when I was diagnosed with arthritis. All of those are signs of inflammation. All of those have to do with this modern eating dilemma that we're dealing with. Hey guys, welcome in. Those of you that are stopping by, I'm Ken. I'm up in Anchorage, Alaska. I am a nutrition coach with CPD certified, and we are talking about insulin resistance, reversing insulin resistance 101, and how we can adjust this in our meal plan. So there's really a priority that we want to put on it is we ate our way in here, we're going to eat our way out. There's two tools, actually there's two lifestyle changes we need to make, and there's two tools that can help us with that we coach on. So the first thing is meal order. Now, if you've never heard of meal order, type in there. It's really bad nowadays, right? How many of y'all have heard of meal order or meal sequencing? Type yes. If you've heard of meal order or meal sequencing, type yes. If you've never heard of it, type no. Let me know. Just put it in the comments. Give me a Y, give me a no. Just give me an idea. Have you heard of that? Sometimes my computer, it takes a little bit for that to pop right up. So, and if you haven't, it's not surprising. It wouldn't be surprising to me at all. I coach people all the time. What the research has shown in modern nutrition science, and we can see it studied at Ohio State, the UCLA, and here in the United States, the CDC even, that if we change the order that we eat, it helps to control our blood glucose levels. And when we think back of it, you don't really understand it. Okay, well, I'm glad that you're here. It is key. Because the other part of this is intermittent fasting that we're going to talk about. And so those two go hand in hand because how you eat and how you break a fast is as important, if not more important, than the fast itself. So meal order is to begin to think about a meal. And when you set down at a plate is we don't want to start with breads. We don't want to start with cookies or biscuits. All right. We don't want to start with chips. We want to start with fiber. Then after we get some fiber in us, we start to eat our fats and proteins. All carbohydrates that are simple carbohydrates, breads, rice, pastas, corn, and potatoes, bags and boxes with barcodes, dessert, that's really what it is, goes at the end of the meal. So we start with fiber, fats, and proteins. Now I use that term, I've actually shifted it. This is in consulting with other dietitians and we want to think not only fiber, fats, and proteins, but 30, 60, 90. So we want to start to think about 30 grams of fiber because we're not getting enough. We want to get 60 grams of healthy fats and then 90 grams minimum of proteins, or 1.7 to 1 gram of protein per your goal weight. Low carb in a time window from 6 hours. Okay, perfect. Sir, perfect. So let's start to think about what foods would fit in that. So I keep a list with me all the time because there's a lot of foods that we can do. So when we think about fiber, all right, we're thinking about asparagus, broccoli, romaine lettuce, salads, of course, mushrooms, okra, great option to do as well. All right. So that's perfect. Exactly. I'm awesome. That's awesome to hear. So let's kind of like tweak that a little bit. So what we want to do is we want to eat until we're full. We want to eat until we're satiated. We want the belly to be full because we're going to be doing intermittent fasting and we're going to let our body teach us. We're going to learn to listen to our bodies. That's going to be key in this journey. All right. So we do that. Then we want to go for good, healthy fats. And so when you cook in different oils, you may want to look at coconut, olive oil, avocado oil are some of the oils to use. You can use butter, you can use ghee, all right, duck fat, lard, all good things that are cooking. Dairy, great options to use as well. Full fat cheeses, all excellent choices. So those are some of the healthy fats. Avocados, of course, are not only fats, but they're also fiber. So perfect for us to eat. Then we focus on protein. All right. So we think about that. Now, we're not eating, and what we're not saying is eat all your vegetables, all your fats, then all your proteins, or one bite of each. It's just start with the salads, start with the fiber. Fiber gets broken down into the mouth with your saliva or your salivary amylates. That turns to a gel. Simple carbohydrates become sugar. When that sugar, again, sugar spikes, insulin increases. We want to get that insulin back down again. This is what screwed up our food system. This is what has screwed up our standard. I say standard American diet. Maybe your standard Amsterdam diet. How about that? We'll keep the A's in here, right? But our standard diet and our current way of eating is we start with carbs, and that is completely the wrong way. And I'm not going to demonize carbs. I like my carbs. I just keep them at the end of the meal to minimize that blood sugar spike that we get. And the more that we are full with everything else, that will slow digestion. Fiber slows digestion. It slows the digestion in your gut. All right. We make the rest of your body feel great that way. All right. Pardon me. I'm going to mute my phone. It is going off. I don't know why it decided to go off. But it is. We've got a bunch of text messages coming in right now. So hold on. So yeah. So hold on. So let me kind of wrap it up. So that's how we want to start to think about it. So we want to think about that, think about fiber, fats, and proteins, put carbs at the end of the meal, those simple carbohydrates. The second thing that we want to address then is doing intermittent fasting. And a lot of times people get intimidated by that. Really what we want to do is delay when we eat. So we're just simply we're eating. The way I look at it here is I will stop eating by 8 o'clock. Don't eat again until 8 o'clock the next morning, minimum. So I get a fast in naturally of 12 hours, and then what we want to do is delay that. What's going to happen is it takes about 4 hours for blood sugar to come back down, about 10 to 12 hours for insulin to come back down. And when insulin becomes low, the fat's got to go. When insulin is low, the fat's got to go. When insulin is high, the fat on our body will defy. It's going to stay right where it is. The fat cells go, hey, I got a bodyguard. I don't need to go anywhere. So that is a huge part of this. So what we want to do is delay that. And what happens is the longer we delay that, our human growth hormones are going to increase. We've stabilized the insulin and our blood sugar. We're burning fat for fuel. Our body is converting fat that it's reaching out to. It's going into that storage tank and turning it into ketones. Ketones are a great source of energy. Our brain loves it. It's like jet fuel for the brain. It helps us to think clear. It gives us the opportunity to allow the body to capture the dying cells, the free radicals, and take those to the recycling bin and burn those up. The longer we go, when we get to about 16 hours, our body starts the process of autophagy, where it begins to heal itself, which is what that is. It's kind of cleaning things out, and those stem cells are beginning to grow again. You don't need anything that's kind of funky out there. That's going to be key. So we allow those stem cells to grow, right? Renew our body. That's why when you look at so many people that go through this process, we see them aging in reverse, as opposed to being on Ozempic and Wegovy and Mounjaro, where people actually start to age faster because of the sagging of the skin, because the loss is so dramatic at that point. Whereas when we're doing intermittent fasting and we're doing this gradually, it's a slower process, and the body is healing, and it's slowly taking all of those fat cells and reusing them. So we're using them for fuel, which is what was intended. So we do that. I like to fast between typically about 18 hours, and eat within 2 meals within a 6-hour window. I found in my healing from diabetes and insulin resistance that 1 meal a day many times is best for me, because of the damage that the food system has done to my gut and acid reflux. So I will eat 22 and 2. So I will graze in a 2-hour window. Now, when I do this every single time, for me, and that can work, and it's totally doable for everybody. You never tried that, right? And I completely understand. We talk about it. There's a lot of side effects to those when we look at it. And this is the statin medications, all right, actually increase insulin resistance. All right. My wife, we actually have a live tonight. If you get an opportunity, it'll be 9 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be on. My wife will be talking about this and the pharmaceutical loop, the pharma loop. All right. And what statins do. Statins are the number one prescribed medication in the world, but they disrupt the mitochondria in the cells. Metformin, number one medication given for prediabetes, lowering blood sugar, but also comes B12, strips the body of B12. One of its side effects is also disrupting mitochondria. Many people struggle with weight gain as well, and a number of different side effects. And some of these have box warnings. In the US, we have the provider's digital reference. Ozempic has many of them, many different side effects, and we go into that. And even with bariatric surgery, many times people find they get desperate and they get to that point. I completely understand. This is not passing judgment. It's just part of the frustration as a nutrition coach is all the options are not put on the table. And so that's one of the things. So this lifestyle and the diet, we talk about a solution that's in the provider's digital reference here in the US that doctors can use. And this is actually available in 63 countries around the world, is a very simple protocol that is all completely food-based. And it is an yerba mate tea. All right, this is a concentrated tea. Dr. Kenny talked about this. This actually stimulates our body's GLP-1. It crushes the food cravings and works in part like metformin because of the chlorogenic acid. The fiber, which is also something, this has been studied. All of these have been studied extensively. That's why they're in the PDR.net. They are third-party verified. This has been studied at the Cleveland Clinic, the people that invented the heart stent. And they said this works like lipid-lowering medications. In other words, statins. And they said if you use it on a population basis, it could possibly reduce the need for lipid-lowering drugs. Well, the thing about these is they're food. So think about this for a second. As a pastor, I kind of go into this. When God created the world, he created it in a particular order. And did he create plants or did he create pharmaceuticals? Yes, actually, Lubeck, it is available in the Netherlands. It is available in the Netherlands as well. I'm almost positive. Let me see if I can verify that real quick. Let me see if I can verify that. Because it is in Europe. We have distribution centers all over the world for the product and for this. So it's been a game changer. So we get the fiber, and it is all plant fibers. It's actually a matrix of 7 different plant fibers. And the yerba mate is simply an yerba mate concentrate. Let me see if I can pull up real quick. I'm sorry, my phone is, everything is going a little bit slow. And I always try to do it because it's easy to get to. I just got to get there. And let me see if I can find it. But my internet is going a little bit slow today. So I hope you guys are seeing this okay. Let's see. Crazy. I don't know why everything is slowed down today. But yes, let me see. I'll go this route. We're going to find it one way or another. And it's without sugar. I'm assuming you meant sugar. Yes. It is using stevia is the primary. Stevia is the primary sweetener. So it doesn't spike your blood sugar levels, and it gives you constant energy through the course of the day. And the theobromine helps with brain fog. So if you go to my website that we do it is called Ken Hagler. It's go to kenhagler.com, and I'll put this up there. So we order the tea and the fiber, and I'm still trying to see if I can get this to show up. Yeah, if you will go to, I'm going to put my contact information up. Now, if you're in the Netherlands, you can also reach me at a different phone number. I have a phone number that I'm going to put up here in the website. So it is, if you want to grab that screenshot, you can actually use the QR code right down there. We'll take you right over to the page where you can order. And you can check and see if it's in the Netherlands. It will automatically pull up. I don't know why that it's having an issue on my phone today, but it's at kenhagler.com. But yeah, that QR code right there, either one of those QR codes will go through that. So you'll get a chance to see that. So we do that. So what it does, it really supercharges the whole process of meal sequencing and doing intermittent fasting. And so I'm glad that you're here, Ludwig. I hope everybody that's come through that you would make sure that you subscribe. I will be back on here tomorrow, and we will be back here tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So come make that, mark your calendar, come back. It's going to be a great presentation. You're going to hear from, I think we've got 5 coaches that are going to be on this this call, and Dr. G is going to be presenting the science of this. So I hope that you can make it. Don't hesitate to message me. My phone number is actually and is in here. This is going to take you right over to my links tree. And you'll find the tea and the fibers right there, the very top, right underneath that. You join our Facebook group. So really glad that you came in today. And I hope that answered some questions. Check out some of the other videos that I posted. And I will have to sign off. I've got some things I have to take care of. So go get the day, make it golden, go be excellent to yourself, and go be excellent to one another. Thank you so much for being here. And thanks for being on today's live. We'll see you guys later. Thanks so much.